News with Mitsumi Takahashi.
Good evening. With the rain and the spring thaw, it's flood season. Montreal and the surrounding municipalities are on alert. Water levels are expected to rise. There's more rain coming. Now, Matt, you're in Laval. The river there's spilled over its banks.
That's right, Mitsumi. Just behind me here on this street in Laval, you can see the water has really come up onto the street. Right next to where we're standing is the Mille-Île River, and it has flooded this street and actually closed off a portion of the road just behind me here. The city of Laval, other cities as well, really monitoring the rivers, and of course there's certainly some cause for concern. Environment Canada has issued this special weather statement for the Montreal area. 15 to 25 millimeters of rain could fall on Thursday. Now, the City of Montreal has launched its special response plan for floods in order to be ready to intervene if necessary. The City of Montreal says water levels are expected to rise in the next days, but at this point, no flooding has occurred. Now, in Laval, the city says the situation is stable, but it's, of course, continuing to monitor those water levels. There are at least a couple of areas here in Laval where water has spilled out onto the street. One of them is on 9th Avenue, and there's a resident on that street, Jean-Luc Perez, who tells us even with water on the street, he's not too concerned because this happens every year, he says. Based on the height of the water right now, he says it appears to be a normal year, and that's why on his street, residents have not started to put out sandbags.
This is the average. That height is the average of every year, except 2017 and 2019. They were about a meter higher. But from the beginning when I moved in, it's normal height. We're used to it. Next week, if there's no rain all week, it will back up like it was last Sunday. I would say 30 to 40 centimeters lower.
North of here in Saint Jerome, the mayor says they are in pre-alert mode. The Rivière du Nord is rising very quickly, the mayor says, and the city has already distributed more than 2,000 sandbags for residents living by the water. We're going to hear more now from the mayor of Saint Jerome.
On a un mélange de deux situations qui se présentent en ce moment. C'est vraiment la fonte des neiges dans les Laurentides mélangée avec la pluie que nous avons depuis les derniers jours et les journées à venir qui fait que la rivière est présentement en mode préalerte. Elle pourrait déborder dans différentes zones de la ville de Saint-Jérôme.
So there he said St. Jerome is dealing with two issues. Of course, there's rain, but also the melting snow coming down from the Laurentians. Here in Laval, we just got an update from the city who says it's going to begin installing a dike tomorrow on Riviera Street, which is right behind me here. Of course, that will be used to help protect against flooding. Mitsumi?
Thanks very much, Matt. And that's Matt Grillo in Laval. A woman was shot and killed in downtown Montreal this afternoon. According to police, she was shot in a condo on Simpson at around 3:30 this afternoon. That's near Dr. Penfield. Police say they went to the scene because of a tip from a man who said there was an injured woman at that location. That man has been detained for questioning. A 56-year-old man has been charged with attempted murder. He is accused of attacking his daughter with a hammer. Police say the 27-year-old woman was attacked early Tuesday morning in a home in Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue. The attack was followed by a 10-hour standoff with police. The suspect, Medhad Darwish, owns a martial arts center in Lachine. He's now in custody. His daughter is a police officer. She managed to escape the home, though she suffers from serious injuries. Quebec has a new premier. Christine Fréchette was sworn in late this afternoon at a ceremony in Quebec City. Fréchette was chosen leader of the CAQ on Sunday. She takes over a party that's struggling in the polls, and Matt, the now former Premier François Legault had a front row seat at today's ceremony.
That's right, Mitsumi. Legault was there along with other members of the government and dignitaries from all over the province to watch as Christine Fréchette was sworn in as the 33rd Premier of Quebec, just the second woman to hold the office.
Je, Christine Fréchette, déclare sous serment que je remplirai les devoirs de ma charge de Première ministre avec honnêteté et justice.
In her first address as Premier, Fréchette spoke about the immense responsibility that comes with the position. She spoke about the challenges Quebecers are facing, the trade war, war in the Middle East, high inflation, and said she got into politics to restore confidence in the future. Frechette is the first Quebec premier from Generation X and represents a changing of the guard politically. In her speech, she outlined her priorities on some key issues like providing resources to teachers and building more schools. She spoke about being a mother and entrepreneur and said that challenges still face women, work-life balance in particular. On the economy, Frechette referenced her experience as CEO of the Eastern Montreal Chamber of Commerce and the economy minister, and committed to championing a strong, innovative, and deeply Quebec-based economy. She said Quebecers are tired of promises and ready for action.
Et aujourd'hui, je prends l'engagement de gouverner avec ambition et avec détermination. Et je prends l'engagement de construire un Québec à la hauteur de vos efforts. Mon nouveau gouvernement va alléger la pression sur les Québécois. On va protéger notre économie et notre identité et on va redonner confiance aux Québécois et ensemble, on va bâtir l'avenir.
And Frechette will take charge of her first caucus meeting as premier in about half an hour from now and is scheduled to speak to reporters just before. She will have just 6 months to make her mark as premier, with the next provincial election scheduled for October. Mitsumi.
Thanks very much, Matt. Montreal's blue-collar workers are on strike today and for the next 2 days. That means the street sweepers will not be working, and that means parking restrictions for street cleaning have been suspended for the rest of the week. The workers, though, are providing essential services such as garbage collection. A contract for the blue-collar workers expired in December. The dispute is mainly over wages. Fewer young people are using marijuana. A new survey finds the rates of those for people using marijuana 15 to 20 years old has dropped significantly. Here's Kelly Gregg.
Outside Dawson College, teenagers are divided when it comes to pot.
I do know most people do smoke at least once a day.
I don't smoke, so I'm not into that stuff.
According to the INSPQ's Cannabis survey, 17% of Quebecers aged 15 and up used in the last year. But for the youngest age bracket, those under 20, the rate fell from 28% in 2018 to below 20%. In Quebec, marijuana is illegal to buy and possess for those under 21. But some here say they were into it in high school, and now that they're in Cégep, they're over it.
Now that I'm 18, I don't know, I kind of just went down on my smoking personally because, I don't know, I did it so much in the past that now it's I'd rather just drink instead.
Personally, I used to have a lot of experience in the field. For me, it's something that doesn't work with me anymore the way it used to.
Romina Mizrahi works at McGill's Research Center for Cannabis. She attributes the drop to more education, but adds legalization brought more choice, and recounted an episode at the Douglas Hospital's ER when a parent brought in their child suffering from psychotic episodes.
This older parent who came with his teenager, and he was telling me, look, I've smoked all my life. I've never seen something like this. Certainly the type of cannabis younger people use is completely different than the cannabis people have used previously. Back in the day, the level of THC would be around 4%. Now it can actually reach to 90% in some cannabis products.
She says even if rates are dropping, it's important to know exactly what you're getting.
I'm excited to be 21 so that I can actually buy regulated weed instead of stuff that's not regulated, because it's way scarier.
It's not the same to buy a beer versus vodka, and you really need to understand the difference.
An important reminder, no matter what age. Kelly Gregg, CTV News.
There was a conference today in Montreal, an information session on medical assistance in dying. Quebec is now a global leader in MAID. Today's speakers focused on the legal framework for MAID. One of the organizers of the conference is Seniors Action Quebec. That group says MAID and death in general continue to be taboo subjects.
We are all in a kind of denial. It's the one thing we know for sure will happen, and yet a majority of people don't quite prepare for it as they should. So besides your will, and if you've written one, you also want to, revise it or review it after 5 years or depending on your condition. And with MAID, it's critically important, particularly as some of our seniors are affected by Alzheimer's at some point. So you want to make sure that you have had a conversation about MAID while your faculties are still as sharp as you would like them to be.
A second session will look at the ethical implications of MAID, and that session will be held next month. 5 vehicles were set on fire early this morning in Saint-Laurent. Police were called at around 4 in the morning about cars on fire on Gold, Brunet and Noel streets. 2 cars and 3 SUVs were destroyed. So far, no arrests.
It's really scary. It's been, myself, it's been 40 years that I live in Saint-Laurent and 20 years in this street. Nothing happened. And I don't know, I can't say anything. I'm just shocked what happened.
The YWCA building downtown is slated for demolition. It's to be replaced by condos. The building used to provide low-cost housing for women, and people say more affordable housing is being lost. Sweeta Rassi reports.
The YWCA in downtown Montreal has been sitting vacant, but under new plans, it would be demolished and turned into this, a 30-story building with 400 condo units. Robert Hadjali is against the plan.
We have very little such low-cost housing downtown. Market rents are very high.
On Tuesday evening at a city council meeting, he voiced his concerns.
We need resources in our district. That's the essential point.
City Councillor Leslie Roberts is in charge of the Peter McGill district, where the building is located.
It didn't make sense to spend millions of extra dollars to save a building that was in such disrepair.
He says there are plans for more low-cost housing units in the area. The vacant YWCA sits on René Lévesque Boulevard. The new location is on Delormier Avenue, but Hadjali wants it closer. While the city is determined to move forward with the project,
we want you to attach conditions.
Hadjali wants the new building to include affordable units, but the city says it's too late for that.
And we could not ask them to make a change, because if we did, the project would have to start from scratch, and then the YDFM's future would be in doubt.
We reached out to the YWCA for comments, but did not hear back. Meantime, the downtown YMCA has been closed since the pandemic and contains a large indoor pool. There are calls to save that facility as well, but its future is still uncertain. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News.
There are more Bixis coming to the South Shore. 22 new stations are being added in Longueuil, with more than 200 bikes being added to the existing South Shore network. This is part of the company's large-scale expansion into the suburbs. Just for Laughs today announced its lineup for this summer. Among the comics coming, Jerry Seinfeld and Weird Al Yankovic. Anastasia Dextrine reports.
I appreciate it. The countdown to Montreal's 2026 Just for Laughs Festival is on. And according to the Vice President of Programming and Talent, the lineup is no joke.
We're very excited to be making this first announcement.
Nick Brazel says this festival promises several heavy hitters, with Jerry Seinfeld leading the way. He'll return to Place des Arts at Salle Wilfred Pelletier on July 23rd.
The English side of the festival started in 1985, and Jerry was actually there that year, and we brought him back again in 1989. So any time that you can welcome somebody back with a 4-decade career in comedy, it's a really special thing.
Weird Al Yankovic is also set to perform in a free show at Place des Festivals. The iconic galas will be hosted by comedians Gabriel Iglesias, Mike Birbiglia, Atsuko Okatsuka, and Jerry D.
What we aim to do every year is have something for everyone, so that anybody, whether you're from here or if you're from somewhere else, that you come into town and you can enjoy it.
And it isn't just about stand-up star power. Brazel says festival goers can expect to see comedy in many forms and both English and French, from sketch to drag to live podcasts.
Sibling Rivalry is a very good one, which is Bob the Drag Queen and Monet Exchange, two very popular drag queens that have a podcast together, and they're doing a live version of their show at Olympia. Being able to represent as many of those taste profiles within what we do in the festival is something that we take pride in trying to deliver on every year.
The festival runs from July 15th to July 26th. Tickets go on sale to the general public at 10 a.m. on April 17th, and buyers will have to book fast if they want the last laugh. Anastasia Dextrine, CTV News.
And coming up, he was arrested and caged with 32 people.
There was like 6 or 7 ICE agents up against the wall, foot me up, hands in the air, and I was like dumbfounded. I'm shaking like a leaf.
And now he's being deported back to Canada. And the company that invented the Skidoo taking a hard hit from U.S. tariffs. CTV News has learned that there are at least 2 Canadians detained at the Immigration Detention Center in Florida. It's a detention center that's known as Alligator Alcatraz. One of them is a former Montrealer, Douglas Dixon. He was arrested by ICE in February. He's being deported today. Judy Trin reports.
Douglas Dixon is a 61-year-old grandfather. He and his wife moved from Montreal to Southwest Florida in 2005. They raised a family on the Gulf Coast. In 2022, during COVID, he was forced to shutter his smoothie shop and fell behind in income tax payments. He pleaded guilty to tax evasion and was put on a government plan to pay back the money. Since the pandemic, Dixon says he's paid back nearly $20,000, but still owes about $12,000. He was arrested by ICE during a monthly check-in with his probation officer.
There was like 6 or 7 ICE agents up against the wall, foot me up, hands in the air, and I was like dumbfounded. I'm shaking like a leaf.
After his arrest, Dixon was taken to Alligator Alcatraz. Human rights organizations say conditions inside the Everglades Detention Center are inhumane. Dixon was kept in a cage with 32 people. Detainees were allowed to shower every 3 days and got 1 hour of yard time every 4 days.
Nobody there is a hardened criminal, if you know what I'm telling you. They are just general, everyday, normal people. I mean, there were no fights amongst each other.
After 9 days at Alligator Alcatraz, Dixon was transferred to another facility. After an online hearing with an immigration judge, Dixon was ordered deported, even though he says he was making his monthly payments.
He's not a criminal. He's not murdered anyone. He's not a drug trafficker. It's just not logical. They've banned him for life. He's not allowed to come back. So not to see his grandkids is going to be very hard. And myself. Sorry.
Douglas Dixon is one of 32 Canadians who have been deported from the U.S. since October. When he gets off the plane in Toronto, he will make his way to Montreal, to a city he has not called home for 21 years. Judy Trin, CTV News, Toronto.
2 members of the Royal Canadian Navy are facing charges in connection with the death of another Navy member last year. This follows an investigation into the death of a petty officer second class who died in January last year. Paul Hollingsworth reports.
For generations, this has been a major military port. The Navy has sailed out of these waters in times of war and peace. Now it's the backdrop for an investigation into the death of Petty Officer Second Class Gregory Applin, who died in Halifax in January of 2025. The Navy says Applin died as a result of an incident during small boat operations in Bedford Basin, which is a body of water attached to Halifax Harbor. Following the death of Applin last year, the Canadian Fleet Atlantic commander described how a vessel called a rib overturned in the basin.
As the rib was en route back to dockyard, an incident occurred which caused the rib to capsize
throwing both sailors into the water.
And now charges have been laid. Master Sailor David Terry has been charged with criminal negligence causing bodily harm and negligent performance of military duties. Sailor First Class Alexandra Garrison faces the same charge, along with dangerous operation of a conveyance, which is a vehicle causing death. In a statement, the Navy said those accused deserve every opportunity to defend themselves. Applin was a weapons engineering technician who joined the Navy in 2005. He was 38. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
Canadian companies continue to be hit hard by American tariffs. Quebec's BRP, or Bombardier Recreational Products, says its profits are down almost $500 million this year. Geneviève Beauchemin has more.
In this town home to BRP Inc. and where the snowmobile was invented, this is rattling news. Just weeks ago, profits were rising. The company projected a net income of up to $480 million. Then a week later, reworked U.S. tariffs were announced. Levies that were imposed only on the metal content within products were replaced by a 25% tariff on the whole imported snowmobiles, three-wheelers and jet skis. In a statement, BRP said that, like many manufacturers, we are operating in a highly volatile and unpredictable tariff environment that continues to create uncertainty across the market. Analysts say that for BRP, which is projecting a $500 million hit before any mitigation measures are imposed, this is a tough card to be dealt, and consumers will pay the price.
If you're buying a jet ski or a watercraft, you probably want to do it sooner than later because they're going to need to combat this by raising prices.
The dramatic shift battered the stock this morning. Most of BRP's products are made in Mexico and Canada, but are sold in the U.S. Manufacturing started in this region after the snowmobile was invented here in 1959. And the company says it expects that after a strong start to this year, it will be able to manage the business through this challenging time. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Valcourt, Quebec.
The Liberals held their first caucus meeting today since becoming a majority government. Abigail Beeman has more on that.
A hero's welcome for the 3 MPs who secured the Liberals a majority, with newest floor crosser Marilyn Gladu front and center.
What a great group. I'm very excited to start building Canada strong for all.
And a fantastic addition.
Great, lots of love. Great to meet my new colleagues.
The Prime Minister has leaned on the word humility a lot in 24 hours.
We approach it with humility and determination. Canadians have placed their trust in the government's plan. We now have reinforcements to help implement that, and we're going to go straight to work.
But wasn't immune to asking for applause. With the caucus feeling so victorious, they cheered regular old MPs too. A stark contrast with the Conservative caucus in the basement.
Are you worried about losing more caucus members?
Who leaned on the idea of unity.
Caucus is united and united behind a leader that has a vision.
Our caucus is united behind Pierre Poilievre.
Pierre Poilievre and our Conservative colleagues are the last hope to save our country. That's why we were united.
In the face of 4 floor crossers, not everyone shared their thoughts.
What can Conservatives do to make their message resonate more with Canadians?
While one MP put it simply.
What needs to change for the party to go up in the polls?
More votes.
Poilievre said this week he isn't going anywhere, as the Liberals say they're still talking with potential floor crossers, and everyone wonders about the next move with a razor-thin majority. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Canada has announced aid for Sudan as the country enters its 4th year of civil war. The Foreign Affairs Minister says it's going to be sending $120 million in humanitarian aid.
Canada is gravely concerned about the worsening humanitarian crisis in Sudan, driven by a civil war that began 3 years ago and that is increasing in severity. There is indeed credible evidence that starvation is being deliberately used as a method of warfare. Hospitals and civilian infrastructure are being targeted. Women and girls have described sexual violence not as an exception, but as an inescapable reality.
The UN says more than 40,000 people have been killed in the fighting in Sudan. The country's military and paramilitary forces are locked in a power struggle in the Darfur region. The International Monetary Fund is warning of a global recession if the war with Iran should escalate further.
Our severe scenario assumes that energy supply disruptions extend into next year with greater macro instability. Global growth falls to 2% this year and next, while inflation exceeds 6%. Downside risks are clearly very elevated.
The IMF cut its growth outlook because of the war driving up energy prices and causing supply disruptions. It says the world economy could teeter on the brink of recession if the conflict worsens and oil stays above $100 a barrel through 2027. And coming up, it was the talk of the town. It was an earthquake with its epicenter in western Quebec. We've all heard the axiom, no one is above the law. The rule of law is a fundamental principle. It says that all people and governments are subject to the same laws. But what happens when a country and its leader decides to defy that rule of law? And is there such a thing as an illegal war? Frédéric Bérard is a constitutional lawyer. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks to you.
So, Frédéric, I'm curious, from a purely legal point of view, what can be said of a leader who threatens to destroy an entire civilization?
Well, actually, it's a violation of the Charter of United Nations, which says to Section 2 that a state cannot threaten another country of using the force in order to violate its integrity. And this is precisely what's happening in many ways right now around the world.
But as you say, countries are not supposed to wage war unless they have UN authorization or they're acting in self-defense. Clearly, the U.S. doesn't meet the requirements. So is it possible to say that a war is illegal? Is there such a thing as an illegal war?
Sure, 100%. The war on Iran is certainly illegal. I think that what happened in Venezuela a few months ago was illegal as well. While we have, many other examples, unfortunately, we have to say that the Charter of the United Nations is not as respected as it was even a few years ago.
But still, even if a country's in violation or a leader is in violation, well, then what, right? There is the International Criminal Court. The U.S. doesn't recognize the jurisdiction of that. And would it even matter if it did?
Well, sometimes doesn't change a lot of things. I think your question is quite irrelevant. We know that Putin from Russia is under arrest. We know that's the same for Benjamin Netanyahu. It was the same for Bolsonaro for a while. Unfortunately, I think the international law is a very intelligent and legitimate and moral and useful concept. But the problem is that we don't have the authorities to make sure that this international law will be respected. There is no police by opposition to the kind of police we have for, say, in the intern law, like in Canada, for instance. So okay, that means that,
yes. But Frédéric, they say that justice must not only be done, it must be seen to be done, right? So at this point, you've named all these leaders. There have been no visible sanctions. They're all still heading their countries. They're still doing what they were doing. The world seems to stand by and watch. So then why should those of us who are standing here just watching this have any faith in this rule of law?
That's the kind of problem I was mentioning. International law is not easy to implement and to make sure that it is respected, which is in a way more of a symbol than anything else. And we also know that all the powerful countries might escape the international law, which by opposition to to countries that are considered as less powerful in instance. You mentioned the criminal court, international court. You're totally right to say that, but we know that the people who have been accused and condemned by those criminal international court was, for instance, leader of countries in Africa, for instance. You'll never see somebody from the U.S. being condemned by the international. And then again, international law is more of a symbol. It's more of a system of moral values that we need to define, we need to defend, but it's not an easy thing to do, that's for sure.
And very quickly, because I never ask you, I never give you a lot of time to explain some very complicated ideas.
We agree on that one.
Okay, but you know how frustrated we all are, right? What is to be done? So people are dying. The world economy is sort of teetering on the brink. And you're saying, well, this is symbolic and it's very difficult, and and then what? We'll just go and have a pizza? I mean, like really, it's you understand how we feel helpless,
Yeah, I know, but if you're asking me to find you a solution to international problems like that in 5 minutes, I'm gonna have a hard time. But in order to help bring some hope in a way, I think that we need to keep going back to the spirit of the Charter of United Nations when it was enacted at the end of the Second World War, because we need to go back to the moral values, and we need to ask our leaders to respect that Charter of United Nations, either we are Canadians, Americans, or Europeans.
Okay. And then we go have a pizza. Okay. Thank you very much.
And chocolate ice cream is good too for moral.
Okay. Thank you. Well, people in Western Quebec were literally shaken up yesterday. An earthquake struck midday. Sean Varden has more.
This video from viewer Shannon Charbonneau in Bryson, Quebec, gives an idea of what a 3.9 magnitude earthquake can feel like to those close by.
It was a lot of shaking, like a lot of the ground, the building. As I said, it was like a big wave that came over us, just came and went.
We have about 2,000 felt reports on our website so far, and we encourage anybody who felt to go fill them out as well.
The epicenter just north of Shawville, Quebec, where the earthquake is the talk of the town.
People had phoned in to see if there was actually an earthquake, but nobody reported damage, which is good. The people that were in basements when this happened thought it was major. It was scary. Grandkids were at daycare and they were a little frightened. They didn't know what was going on.
So we all stopped and we all started looking at each other wondering, okay, well, what do we do?
In this video, you can see the moment the earthquake shook Clarendon, Quebec, close to the epicenter. Experts say damage generally is not reported unless an earthquake is around a magnitude of 5 or stronger, at which point emergency alerts would be sent out to cell phones.
Drop cover, hold on if you feel an earthquake. There could always be others, always be ready for that.
The 3.9 quake was felt as far away as Toronto and Montreal. For some in Fitzroy Harbour, it came as a shock.
You could definitely feel, the only way I can describe it is a buzz in the ground.
It shook the house, obviously, like a train rumbling through it.
I thought it was maybe some blasting, because I know they're doing some blasting, but it found out since it was an earthquake.
We are part of the Western Quebec seismic zone. It's a moderately active seismic zone. We might have about a dozen felt earthquakes every year.
Sean Varden, CTV News.
Weather brought to you by Gratian-Scaff. Second pair is a gift event including designer frames. A second pair free for a limited time.
Well, Montreal saw just under 2 millimeters of rain today, and there is more on the way. This is why Environment and Climate Change Canada has us under a special weather statement. We could see anywhere between 15 to 25 millimeters of rain tomorrow. That is Thursday. Looks like Montreal will receive around 15 millimeters of rain. Now, the other areas that are going to be impacted include the Laurentians as well as the eastern townships. And because our water levels are already quite high and the ground is saturated, they are are just urging people to take caution because it is possible there could be some flooding. What else do we have in store over the next 24 hours? Let's put our futurecast into motion now and see. So at this time, we are seeing cloudy skies, and we're going to hold on to that into the early morning hours. We start our Thursday off with cloudy skies, and we get a preview of this system that's expected to impact Montreal just before noon, and we're pretty much seeing it throughout the afternoon. By around 7, that system has pushed eastwards. Once again, holding on to cloudy skies as we head into our Friday, where we will begin the day with cloudy skies, but at this time it looks like we'll see some peaks of sunshine later in the day, calling for a mix of sun and clouds. Now, overnight it's actually going to be on the milder side compared to where we would typically be, which is 1 degree. We're seeing a low of 6. With those cloudy skies, the winds are calm coming from the northeast. We hold on to them into the early morning hours with a wake-up temperature of 7 degrees, cloudy to start. We'll see some showers throughout the day, and we're looking at around 15 millimeters with a nice daytime high of 13 degrees, which is on the warmer side. And we will continue to see warmer temperatures at least for the next few days. We're calling for 16 on Friday with mix of sun and clouds, 22 on Saturday, along with around 8 millimeters of rain in the evening. Now we could see another 3 on Sunday, and the temperatures take a dip on Monday. We're calling for 2 degrees and 7 on Tuesday, where we could see 4 millimeters of rain in the afternoon, and another 4 on Wednesday with a high of 11.
And coming up, Vancouver has a dream.
I don't think it's very realistic at all. I give it less than a 5% chance of happening.
And the hope is to get the nod from Major League Baseball. And for people who don't like needles, a new alternative to the EpiPen.
Menswear provided by Ernest. Elevate your style with Ernest. Your Health, brought to you by Gratianscap's second pair is a gift event including designer frames. A second pair free for a limited time.
There is something new for people with life-threatening allergies. Neffy is a needle-free alternative to the EpiPen. It's now been approved by Health Canada. Andrew Johnson reports.
In the words of one doctor we spoke with today, this is a game changer for Canadians with severe allergies and for the parents of children who have to carry around an EpiPen.
This is the ability to have a life-saving device available on you that's easy to administer, almost challenging to get it wrong.
Neffy replaces the needle you jab into your thigh with a nasal spray that has a 2.5-year shelf life. The spray is now approved by Health Canada to treat anaphylaxis, the severe reaction millions of Canadians deal with because of allergies to things like peanuts, shellfish, bee stings, or insect bites. When someone goes into anaphylaxis, they may have trouble breathing, their throat or tongue can swell, and their blood pressure can plunge. These allergies may be life-threatening, so it's critical to have medication nearby. One doctor says having this new option is huge.
Carrying a needle-based epinephrine or having this as the only route of delivery causes barriers for people that, 1, don't like needles, 2, don't want to use the needle, or 3, don't want to carry the size that is required for a needle-based device.
The spray should start to appear in pharmacies by summer. Right now, it's only approved for children who weigh more than 30 kilograms, or about 65 pounds. The manufacturer says it will apply for a smaller dose to be approved for smaller kids later this year. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Quebec handed out its highest civilian medals of honor last night, and among the recipients, the late Jean Lapierre. Jean Lapierre's mother, his daughter Marianne, and his son Jean-Michel accepted the medal on his behalf. Lapierre was a federal MP who turned into a well-known political analyst. He died in a plane crash 10 years ago. Longtime Sun Youth head and Canadian Breakfast Club CEO Tommy Kolchak was also awarded the honor.
Business News, brought to you by Au Vieux de Louvre, where memories and meals come together.
A New York jury has ruled against the entertainment company Live Nation. It says the company operated as a harmful monopoly. Morella Fernandez has more.
This verdict is a big blow to Live Nation, which is a $36 billion company. 33 states and Washington, D.C. were suing Live Nation, accusing the company of locking out competition and overcharging customers about $1.70 a ticket. The states are seeking $700 million. Some also want Live Nation to sell Ticketmaster, its ticketing agent. Last year, Live Nation organized more than 55,000 concerts around the world. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 72.84. West Texas Intermediate hasn't changed much. It's at 88.13. Western Canadian Select down over $4 to 70.34. And the TSX gained 53 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Katy Perry, who is currently in a relationship with former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, is under investigation in Australia over sexual assault accusations. The allegations come from actor Ruby Rose. She accuses Perry of assaulting her in a Melbourne nightclub almost 2 decades ago. Rose is best known for her role in Orange is the New Black. She filed a police report yesterday. Perry has denied the claims. Canada has just one Major League Baseball team, the Toronto Blue Jays, but the mayor of Vancouver wants to change that. We have this report.
Dubbed Canada's team, the Toronto Blue Jays captured the nation's hearts last fall when they made it to Game 7 of the World Series. That playoff run excitement is something Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim wants replicated here. He's pitching a plan to bring a Major League Baseball team to Vancouver, but one sports analyst says the announcement is out of left field.
I don't think it's very realistic at all. I give it less than a 5% chance of happening.
Podcast host Matt Sakaris says there's a number of issues for the city to consider.
You're looking at the franchise fee itself, which I imagine is in the $2 billion plus US realm, plus someone who is rich enough to buy land and construct a stadium or put on one heck of a retrofit to BC Place. So you're into the billions of startup costs right off the bat, pardon the pun.
Sim will be tabling a motion next Wednesday to start an open and competitive bid process for a Vancouver franchise. He says it's in response to interest from prospective groups.
We have a real list of cities that I think are not only interested in having baseball, but are viable in terms of baseball.
MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred has referenced the league expanding to Vancouver in the past.
Certainly Montreal, maybe Vancouver in Canada.
Sakaris chalks Manfred's comments up to politics.
You want to mention as many cities as possible as stocking horses so that you can drive up the price on your preferred destinations.
To the conference final.
Sim's announcement comes in the midst of signing a memorandum of understanding with the Vancouver Whitecaps for a proposed new stadium at Hastings Park.
It's so important to the residents of Vancouver, but it also makes a lot of economic sense.
Whether another sports team is top of mind for Vancouverites may play out in October when Sim seeks re-election. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
There were free tickets for Habs fans to attend watch parties outside the Bell Centre, but Caroline, they're now being resold for profit.
Yes, let the gouging begin. It seems there were free tickets for Canadians' watch parties that the Canadien de Montréal had distributed on their website for people to watch games outside the Bell Centre. They are for round 1 games with the Tampa Bay Lightning, which begin in Florida, actually, and they're now popping up on Facebook Marketplace for $40 and more, if you can believe it. Meantime, tickets to actually get into the Bell Centre for a playoff game are reselling for close to $500 a piece, so watch out for scams. We will also keep our eye on that possible flooding in Laval, and we'll have more on that fatal shooting of a woman downtown and a man now being detained for questioning. All that and more at 11:30 tonight. Mitsumi?
Thanks very much, Caroline. And when we come back, he is the biggest fan. For this man, McDonald's isn't just a fast food. Today is National McDonald's Day in the U.S., and one man is definitely celebrating. Here's Danny New.
71 years ago today, future McDonald's CEO Ray Kroc opened his first McDonald's right outside of Chicago.
And speaking of the Hamburglar.
And decades later, a man in Texas has been on a mission to preserve many of the relics produced by the Golden Arches since that day.
Do you like McDonald's food too, or just their art?
My inspiration is more the art and the history of it
His name is Bobby Beauchesne, and for most of his life, he had already been collecting food and drink packaging and advertising.
The very first item in my collection is that Crystal Pepsi can.
However, for the past 7 years, he has specifically focused on the fast food chain of Ronald McDonald, now owning more than 40,000 pieces of its history.
There are very few American institutions more culturally significant than McDonald's.
Bobby says the entire top floor of his Austin home is Mickey D's.
This amazing late 70s breakfast menu,
which includes the bathroom.
Here's another of the guest bedrooms.
The guest room, and even his at-home office, which has this burger lamp from the 1970s.
So I flew to Salt Lake City just to pick this thing up.
Because you saw it and you were like, I need that lamp?
Yep.
Other slices of Americana include these special edition cups for the 1992 Dream Team, these Happy Meal promotions for different movies over the years, and Bobby's personal favorite.
My favorite of the translights is this one with Gallagher.
It's my favorite prop comic.
It's so absurd.
Bobby said he is frequently asked what his wife thinks of all these installations, and he says the house is split 2 levels, with the bottom floor being Mickey D-less. He said that, quote, she may come upstairs 30 to 45 seconds a month. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
And we got rain.
Yeah, could be worse. It could be snow, right?
Absolutely.
We are still under this special weather statement. We could see anywhere between 15 to 25 millimeters of rain tomorrow. It's impacting various parts of the province, including Montreal and up in the Laurentians. Now, overnight, we're actually going to see milder temperatures, 6 degrees. We typically be around 1. We start the day off tomorrow at 7. Cloudy skies and then showers move in. We'll hit a daytime high of 13 degrees. So it's going to be on the warmer side, maybe a little bit muggy, similar to today. And along with all that, we are going to get 15 millimeters of rain. But as they say, April showers bring May flowers.
And that's it for us. Have a good evening. Stay well. Good night.